Welcome everyone, and please feel free to take your seats and be comfortable. My name is David Colby, and I'm here by virtue of being the president of the Rondeau Cottagers Association. I'd like to bid all of you welcome, and we're very, very happy as an association to sponsor this memorial to our friend and colleague, Arthur Pill. I feel privileged to have known Art. I called him a friend. I listened to his war stories, always with interest, and we had a lot in common. We both ride motorcycles, and he told me that he always felt like a murderer because he had to do an evacuation of one of the military installations in Europe, and they had to leave the motorcycles behind that belonged to the regiment. And he said they were brand new, beautiful motorcycles, and I had to fire a bullet into each one of their engine blocks so that they couldn't be used in any way by the enemy. And he said, I just have found that to be terrible. It's also gratifying that motorcyclists can live to be an elderly age, because we hear all the time, don't you know those things are dangerous? You shouldn't be using those. I said, well, my friend Art Pill, he lived a long time and he rode a lot. So Art was a tireless worker for the causes of Rondeau. He served on the executive of the Cottagers Association for over 20 years. And in those days it was called the Rondeau Leaseholders Association. And he knew everything that had happened in the history of cottaging and all of the various moves by different governments to discourage cottages in this place, and he knew all of the history and had it at his fingertips. I hope that all of you are able to take the time to come over here and look at some of the displays after this solemn ceremony ends, because it's just a few snapshots of a very long and complex life, but they're very interesting snapshots, and it is a matter of great sorrow that we don't have Art's medals to be able to display. Some of you may know that his cottage was broken into by persons unknown, and his cherished medals were taken from him and from his family. And it's a terrible thing that has happened, and we are all hoping that some light may still be shed on this crime. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for coming. And I'd like to turn the podium over to our Member of Parliament, Dave Van Kesteren, who's going to make some remarks. Okay.
Thank you, David. Well, good afternoon. This is an extraordinary day. This is the type of weather that we dream about when we're going to do something of this magnitude and something as important as this. I'm going to put my stick down for a minute. I'm going to tell you about that in just a second. My first remarks are those as your Member of Parliament, speaking in behalf of the Minister of Veteran Affairs. Veterans, Pill family members, members of our Canadian Forces, members of the Royal Canadian Legion, special guests, ladies and gentlemen, bonjour. It is an honor for me to be here today at Rondeau Provincial Park on behalf of the Honourable Greg Thompson, the Minister of Veteran Affairs, to pay tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Pill. When we look back at the story of Art Pill, we see a remarkable man who lived life to its fullest. We see a man of tremendous acts of courage and bravery. We see generosity and self-sacrifice, and we see community spirit. Art was an ordinary man who did extraordinary things. As a prisoner of war, he managed to escape his captors on 3 different occasions in 3 different countries and live to tell the story. Our government recognizes that this bench and plaque not only commemorate the tremendous sacrifices and contributions made by Lieutenant Colonel Pill, but are also a testimony to the sacrifices of the millions of Canadians and Allied veterans who so valiantly served during the Second World War. And I would put a footnote in there. I know that Art would want me to say that on this particular day. And if he were to know that he would have all this honor bestowed on them, he'd certainly want us to put attention to those others too that sacrificed. Our greatest gift to them is the gift of remembrance, to keep alive the memory of their service and the sacrifices of those who fell. Today, we are also remembering that Canadians are still serving around the world in such troubled places as in Afghanistan. They, as though those who came before them, know that the threats we face today are real. Their mission are not easy, and the men and women serving deserve and need our support. One way that we show that support is through the events such as this that allow us to remember and reflect on their dedication and sacrifice. In fact, there are several major events in our military history that are being commemorated this year. In May, we mark the 65th anniversary of the Battle of the Atlantic. This month, we will mark the 55th anniversary of the Korean War armistice. Then from August through to Veterans Day and Remembrance Day, we remember the 90th anniversary of the end of the First World War. Our duty as parents, educators, mentors, and community members is to make sure that the story of these heroes and everyday men and women are remembered and passed down to our youth. Thank you all to those who have made today's event possible, in particular, to the members of the Rondeau Cottagers Association for your efforts to ensure that our veterans and servicemen and women are not forgotten. And now I'd like to make a few personal notes. If I can have my... You might be wondering why I'm walking around with this stick here today. Well, I met Art, I think, in 2000 and... thanks, John. In 2000, the year 2000, and we became very close friends. I think about, and I should say in the offset too, I say we, I could say my entire family. My wife is particularly, Adam's shaking his head, nodding his head. My wife is particularly sorry that she could not attend. We had a number of family functions, birthdays and such, and being a grandmother and a mother, she had to do those things, but she wanted to convey her love and congratulations here today as well. And I remember what Art used to tell me. He would say, David, the best is hardly good enough. Art was a man of impeccable manners and character. He was always a gentleman. It was always a pleasure when he came in and we would have these long chats. And one day, he came with a stick that he'd carved for me. I had no idea that he was going to do this. And after he had handed it to me, I think it was probably a month later, he came with a rack to hang it on as well too. So I didn't take that along, but I did want to tell you what it says here. I hand-carved this stick for my friend, David Van Kesteren. Continued success and all good wishes. Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Pill, CD, retired. And he did this in Florida in 2001. So it's indeed my pleasure to be here today. First of all, as your government official, but more important, as Art's friend. Thank you. God bless.
I would now like to invite Mr. David Rowe, past President, Blenheim Branch of the Royal Canadian Legion, to address us.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mr. Van Kesteren. Before I speak, and the reason I'm speaking on behalf of the Legion is because I knew Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Pill. Actually, my senior officials from the Legion are here, and I'd just like to introduce them at this point in time. I have Mr. Bill Meisner, who is our Deputy District Director, Mr. Mark Rogers, who is our Zone Chairman, and Mrs. Kathy Landman, who is our President of Branch 185. and I'm just the lowly past president, but fortunately, I knew Arthur, or Lieutenant Colonel Bill. Art, as he wanted everyone to call him, and my only concern was that, unfortunately, I only knew Arthur for about 14 years, and I've often wondered why I couldn't have met him years and years ago, because he was a great gentleman. And it's my privilege to call him comrade and to speak on his behalf. I got to know him through the Air Cadets and through being the chairman of the Veterans Committee at our branch, because Arthur was the commanding officer of 291 Bomber Squadron in Blenheim for several years. This was before my time, but I knew that, and so I used to call him whenever I would run into trouble as being the Air Cadet chairperson, and he always had an answer for whatever it was I needed to know. And that's the kind of an individual Lieutenant Colonel Pill was. Secondly, he used to attend all of our veterans dinners that we had every year. And so I was able to have nice long conversations with him, because he was that sort of an individual. He just was a great man. And he's one of the few people that I can recall that I have never ever heard anyone say a bad word about. And that's rare in this day. And so it's with great honor that I was asked to come out here and address you people, because I look at him definitely as a comrade, and he was a great man, and I really, really want to thank the Rondeau Cottagers Association for their help in bringing about this dedication. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Art was such a great guy that we all remember him as a friend, and we all have our own little memories. I shared you some of mine, but he was a modest man, but he was very, very proud, and justifiably so, of his record of service. And we were very proud of him for his record of service to the Rondeau community.
I was asked by Mayor Randy Hope to bring his personal greetings to the gathering here today. He unfortunately was not able to be with us here today, but he did ask if I would represent him, and I'm very pleased to do so. Also, certainly want to recognize in the audience Councillor Jim Brown and Councillor Frank Vercoutren, two of my colleagues on council for the municipality of Chatham-Kent. I bring the municipality's greetings. I also bring the municipality's congratulations to the Rondeau Cottagers Association, to our friends in the Legion, and certainly greetings to and congratulations to all of the members of the Rondeau community. This is a tremendous occasion. And certainly the people that are sitting out there, I think, got the better deal as far as the view. What a tremendous, tremendous day. Looking out over the bay is just an absolutely stunning viewscape. And certainly I think this is a most fitting tribute. I did know Art. I'd met Mr. Pill as a teacher at Blenheim District High School. That's my perspective and my point of reference when it comes to Art Pill. Perhaps as a student, I maybe have a slightly different view, or have a slightly different relationship and memories, but it would not be anything specific to Mr. Pill. It would just be memories of high school and authority and all of those good things. But certainly, I do recall him being a dedicated teacher and providing very quiet guidance to his students as he was exercising that particular craft and that particular skill in his career in teaching. So again, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. Colby, for this opportunity to insert myself into your official program. But Mayor Randy Hope did want me to bring along his greetings and congratulations, and have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you very much, Art, and we were very pleased to have your personal remarks as well as your greetings on behalf of His Worship, Mayor Hope. So thank you very much for addressing us. What's going to happen now is that we're going to unveil this memorial bench, and we're very proud of the inscription. It makes reference to Art's rank, and it also has one of his favorite quotes. And he was a champion of ecology. He always said we have to take care of the environment. And he also said that parks are for people too. And that's on this bench. And after we unveil it, I'm going to ask that everyone stand and observe a moment of silence in his memory. And after the moment of silence, there'll be a minute of silence. There will be a lament played to signal the end of that. Dave and Dave? So now I would ask everyone to stand. And remember Art as best for you. Thank you. I would now like to invite Mr. Mark Rogers and Mr. David Rowe of the Royal Canadian Legion to lay the memorial wreath. Thank you, gentlemen. As I bring the formal part of this ceremony to its closing, I hope that all of us remember the values that Art fought for, whether it was on the battlefields of Europe, teaching his students, raising his children, creating his art, or working for the cottage community at Rondeau. He'll never be forgotten for these contributions that he's made, and he'll always live in our hearts. And when the little kids come up and say, "Who's this Pill guy that's name is carved on the bench out there?" all of us that were here today will be able to tell them, and we'll have lots to tell them. So a few thank yous are in order. I'd like to thank Colin Mardling for donating the use of much of the equipment that you see here today. I'd like to thank the Rondeau Yacht Club for providing a permanent home for this memorial bench. I'd like to thank all of you for coming. I'd like to thank Art's family, Adam in particular, for providing guidance and mementos. I'd like to thank all of our honored platform guests and the Canadian Legion for making this a very special occasion. And I'd really like to thank Alison Story, who worked tirelessly to organize this event and bring it all together. Really, she's the one that deserves the credit for all of this. And we're all very, very grateful to you, Alison, for all of the work you did on Art's behalf. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Our piper is now going to march the platform guests out, and I would invite all of you to mingle and see the exhibits and tell stories and enjoy some food and beverages that have been set out in the Yacht Club. And always remember, parks are for people too. Thank you so much.